It has begun. All right, hello. Hello. Hi, hello. Hello. Um I know this is a brief and all of a sudden surprise podcast is happening on the channel. Because some news dropped earlier this morning. So this is like kind of important, and then I got a hold of a friend of mine by the name of Vicious Law on YouTube. Go
What's up?
subscribe. Um, so we've been friends for a very long time. So we usually discuss about these things on our own, and we felt like this is big enough that we could probably, hop on a call and talk about this live and in person. So take the time, check out his YouTube channel. He plays a lot of new games. I don't do a lot of playthroughs of video games on the channel. That's not like more modern games. He does. He plays a lot of Resident Evil 4 and Ninja Gaiden Black. I think you're about to do 007 soon, right?
Yes, I am. At the end of this month, I'm wrapping up Resident Evil Requiem. I have a lot of those ups and shorts, and at the end of this month, I'm doing 007 because, I don't know. I choose games I'm a little bit more enthusiastic about. Like, I've seen a lot of 007 films, I've played all their games, so
Yeah.
I got some, like, fun commentary on that as I play the game that you guys might not know, even things about the books. So,
Oh,
check it
okay.
out.
Greatest 007 game of all time is tied between Everything or Nothing and Nightfire, and I will not go into this any further.
Oh no, I'm not gonna. Today's not the day, Jesse.
Today's
Today
not the
is not
day.
the day.
Okay. All right. So this is usually the Sorrow and the Rapper podcast, but today is only the Sorrow and the Rapper is not here. Um, I'm Jesse the
Oh, I thought
Sorrow.
he was gonna be here. I was looking forward to introducing myself to him and
No, no, he's usually busy, so we only live stream on Sundays because that's the time that he has. So
got you.
it's just you and I right now, very normal. Um,
Okay, well he's here in spirit.
yeah, yes, he is. Praise to be and Dash. um, so what's today's topic about? Well, Sony has decided to blow their ass out and decided that fucking no more physical media will
Yo,
be ever played on PlayStation ever again. They
it's
dropped the news this
insane.
morning
It's insane.
saying that in response to shifting trends in consumer preference, new games will be released on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. Now, just so you know, because I know we just got on the Discord call, on stream they can see my screen so they can read what I'm reading. Just so you know, I know you're like doing something else at the same time, so
Yeah,
just
no,
let
no,
you
no.
know.
I got you. I got you.
So what does this really mean? That means that no longer uh, physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles will be discontinued starting January of 2028. Following this date, new games will be available on the PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. That is insane because I just found out
It's insanity.
that also impacts if you are not a Sony first party title at all. Let's say you make 007, right? And you're gonna put it on
Yes.
PlayStation, it can only be digital now because
Oh
so
my
because
God.
Sony fully controls their physical production of their disc. One, because it's Blu-ray, but two, because it has to. That's how it is. It's the same thing for Microsoft and for Switch. But because they've made this announcement, they're fully killing an entire industry of gaming altogether. Meaning that no longer will any game that you buy that you want to play on PlayStation will ever be physical from here on out.
This is insane.
Yeah, it's actually almost disrespectful, honestly.
And I told you earlier, I was like texting you and I was just like, no, I can't. We got to just talk about this. So, also a week ago, they got you know the news more accurately than I do, so you can say it before I say the things I bought, but I think a week ago they like took down their streaming service. Like if you bought things on their digital store from digitally in
Hmm.
terms of films and shows and anything that you watch.
Yeah. On the
Do you
last
have that there or
Yeah,
like the tweet they did?
on the last podcast, me and Dom had talked about it. Or just this on Sunday. It was like a couple days ago. Basically, what happened was that Sony had decided to take off, or they said that they're removing 551 PlayStation movies and TV shows. Well, I think it's mostly movies from customers' accounts on PlayStation because they lost the licensing deal fell through. And all of that comes from a studio called Studio Canal, which I guess is the people who are behind licensing these movies through the digital storefront. So even if it's not in the same way that video games work, they are literally not only delisting it, but they're removing it altogether from your purchase history and your account.
That's insane.
You're, Mhm.
So I paid for like I think I played, I can't recall exactly, but I remember purchasing an entire season of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Um, and then also like a handful of like just a bunch of different random episodes like Rick and Morty, Breaking Bad, a couple films there. You know, sometimes I would get deals, so I'd get points, and I'd be like, oh, okay, cool, I have points. I'll just use it towards the show, and I'll support them in this front. You know, now I didn't use it as my primary source of videos, but like I think at the time, like a long time ago, some people now might not even know, but a long time ago Amazon wasn't even like really used to rent and buy films. It was really Sony and Apple.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Sony and Apple. So like I was doing that like way back when, since like 2007, when it was just Netflix wasn't even a thing. Like it wasn't a thing. It was Sony and Apple.
Hmm.
And I didn't really have that much Apple products at the time because I was broke. I was not buying their iPhones at the time. It was like the iPhone 2 or 1 or whatever the hell it was. And so I was buying shit on Sony. And like, bro, I got a good chunk of stuff on there and now I don't own it anymore. It's crazy. Like I thought they would
Yeah.
at least give people like some sort of money, like $100. They gotta give people something, bro.
No,
Like
well,
I
they
could use that to get Halo, bro.
that'll be funny, but no, they
Like,
don't.
yo, I paid for like at least over $200 worth of digital stuff on there.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I understand the feeling of like, but we always have to remember, especially since the digital era of video games, that we no longer own any of this stuff, especially if we purchase it digitally. It is just a licensing agreement that we're getting into them. And I know it sucks to think about it in that way, but they've made that. At first, they've made that obscure. At first, when you're buying a game online during the PS3 era, you kind of you thought that you just owned the game altogether. But as time has gone on, it's kind of been more and more obvious that you don't actually own these digital games. One of the best examples that I had mentioned to Marvin was Marvel versus Capcom 2, a game that had a release on PS3, had a very different release on PS3. It was they included rollback netcode, they included like a bunch of updates and everything like that, and then because of the
Yo, and
licensing.
everybody was so happy when
Yeah,
that
it was
came
so
out
because it
too.
was
And it
already
was
like 10, I think it was like almost 15 years since that was put out there, since the PS2 or since the original console release.
And there
So
was like no way of playing that game
no
unless
way.
you had a PS3 with a
Yeah.
PS2 disc drive or a
Hmm.
PS2.
So they did that, and then they put it out there, and then they delisted it, meaning that you can only purchase it. You can only get it if you already purchased it, and you have to download it from your account and not from the store. And you're like, well, okay, well that's not big of a deal. Yeah, but then the PS4 isn't backwards compatible, and the PS5 isn't backwards compatible, so it no longer counts. You would have to get your PS3 out somehow if you had money to still keep onto it, and then like play it that way. And then you're also dwindling the amount of people who are willing to play that. And then you delist it. And this is not the first time Capcom did that. Or I understand, like, that's not the first time a company did that, especially in fighting games, because they did it for the Street Fighter 2 HD remake that we never got to play ever again, where all the character art is very different. It's a very different
Wait,
game.
which game was that?
Street Fighter 2 HD remix, which is all
Oh, I
yeah,
can't.
it's a
Street
full on
Fighter 2.
remix.
I could have sworn I had that on the Switch One. Did they release that on Switch One? I
Nope,
think they
it was
did.
only on that.
No?
It was only on that generation. They did the same thing to Street Fighter Third Strike Online Edition. That is the perfect version of Street Fighter 3 Third
Oh,
Strike.
I had
And
that
this,
too. I had that too.
yeah, and you can never play those games again. Right now, in the ways that they were put out then, we dealt with it with Deadpool for the PS3 is the same issue. Delisting games have been a constant problem, and the fact it wouldn't be that big of a problem if they allowed backwards compatibility. But as time has gone on, they have decided they're not going to move forward with that. And now, with rumors of the PS6 coming out, maybe possibly next year, you're making a hard argument to decide whether or not you want to purchase the actual thing, because now you're fully killing
Aren't
off physical
they
media.
cutting down? Aren't they cutting down cost by making it have no discs? Like, is it still gonna be $1,400, whatever?
Whatever price they
Thing?
did take. Yeah, yes and no, because The Blu-ray is proprietary to Sony. Sony created the Blu-ray disc. They created the Blu-ray disc. They created the Blu-ray drive. Like if you buy an Xbox, if you buy a Xbox One and on, it all functions off of Blu-ray. That is the next wave of technology. So even Microsoft has to pay Sony in order to print games, right? Now, to be clear, they're saying very specifically, I want you to realize what they're saying. Physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles. That doesn't mean that they're killing the Blu-ray. That just means that PlayStation games, new PlayStation games are no longer going to be printed ever again, right? That's their plan going forward because they feel like that's the trend. That also
After January, are they on a game to game basis though? Because they said that for January 2028. Does that mean every game before that is still gonna be a physical game?
Yeah,
like
following this date.
And
Yeah, that's what it says. Then it says following this date, new games will be available on the PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. This transition has no impact on games that are already released or will be releasing prior to January 2028 in disc format. So games that came out before then won't be impacted before January. After January, will be impacted. You know what this also tells you? Because the news that came out last week of Rockstar, companies talk. Sony talked to Rockstar. They're not stupid.
They definitely did, bro. They definitely did.
Rockstar was just like, listen, we don't know. There must have been a meeting behind the scenes in general, because that's how companies are. They're gonna be like, look, this is the future going forward. You're gonna have an all digital thing. Like that's just how things are gonna work. This is how CEOs think. They feel like CEOs don't have a job. CEOs don't do shit. So all they do is bullshit. So they bullshitted each other, thinking like this is the way of the future. It's digital only. It's online only. We're all about online and yeah, right? So there is very clear that there must have been a conversation at another point or another that Sony and Rockstar have talked about this, right? Have talked about like the future of video games and the future of online on PlayStation will not be physical. It will be digital. To coincide this train of thought, Rockstar in their promo video for GTA 6 that was released last week, their marketing material says works best on PlayStation 5. Not only because of PlayStation's SSD drive and how good it actually handles this type of stuff.
But isn't Xbox doing the same thing as well? Like they're saying the same shit for their console. Like it's
no,
weird.
it actually is only on the PlayStation. It says it works best on PlayStation.
So it doesn't say that for Xbox.
No, it doesn't say that for Xbox. It only says that for PlayStation. Which tells
now, do you think on the PS5 Pro it's gonna run at 60 frames per second?
No, and then that was the other thing. Digital Foundry, a YouTube channel based off of like a couple of guys overseas who are really good at determining like gaming trends and all this other stuff, but they also break down video games, new video games or trailers, determining on like how much frame rate something is, the performance. You know, usually if you want to know how a game actually looks and runs and how it runs well, you could go to Digital Foundry's YouTube channel.
Yeah,
and they
can
break it down
all the time.
Yeah, and they said that more than likely, based on what they know and what they've heard, that it will run even on PS5 Pro at 30 frames a second.
But is it gonna have more ray trace? Is it gonna have ray tracing enabled? Like it has to. In order for them to pull off this whole PlayStation's best, all this and that, they at this point they need to do something for the pro version of that game. I don't know what it's gonna be. If it's gonna be like a quality performance mode at 30 frames per second or what. But
allegedly, it was said because it was because of the fact that like the stuff that they're doing for that game, the advanced AI systems, the map size, the this, the that, like the actual stuff that happens in the game is gonna be the real reason why it can't be more than 30 frames. But that's a sack of horse shit because, like I said, map size don't mean shit in video games anymore. It really doesn't.
No,
when
it's humongous. It is a huge map, though.
I understand that it's a big map. But when you play Spider-Man, right? I want you to think about it like this. When you play Spider-Man or Ghost of Tsushima or Ghost of Yote, they have figured out a way to get from the bottom of Manhattan to the other side of Manhattan in less than a blink of an eye and fast traveling, right? That means that companies have figured out, not just Sony, not just Insomniac, not just Sucker Punch, because there's a lot of games that don't even have loading times anymore. they have figured out that because of the SSD drive and they can make it work, that map size really doesn't matter. Like you could just make a map big, but you know how to process the information so it runs it fast enough that a map is either preloaded or you know how to load it before it even happens. So it doesn't make any sense to blame it on the map. I understand when they say they're
No,
like,
there's nothing. They just want to change shit,
yeah,
and they're
of course.
forcing everybody into it. Nintendo's the only place to get physical games,
That's the sad part. That's honestly
which is
the,
crazy. Like so many people, game key card. I
yeah,
still got the game key card, by the way. I
I
still
know.
got them. I don't care.
People love the people really my cousin really shitted on me for like, oh, you look at the game key card. I'm like, bro, this is how it's gonna be, and you're not understanding. Like, it could get worse.
At least you still own the game. At least you could give it to a friend. Yeah, they have to download it in there, whatever, but at least you can lend your game to a friend after you're done beating it, you know?
Yeah, of course. It only makes sense. And if you don't think that this impacts game preservation in one way or another, you're like, yeah, but I didn't buy a lot of games on PS4 and PS fucking 5. What does it matter? I don't buy my shit digital. Well, they alongside this news update, they show a second news update that the PlayStation Store and the PS3 and the Vita are also shut down, which also takes place at the end of next year, actually.
So does this mean that like at a random point all your PS4 digital games can be taken down as well?
I mean, it's not some random point. Maybe through 2 generations from now, it's possible they could decide that if they want to.
But if you have the game, if you have the game physically, that's not gonna be the case.
No, it physically is a very separate thing. Because although, keep in mind, people, although the game is physical, the actual disc is physical. You're not the information on that disc is nothing. The actual information on that disc is like a key. It's literally like an access key. So when you play your PlayStation, that's why people are like, "Whoa, why the fuck does it take forever?" When you put your PlayStation disc in the PlayStation, what it's doing is giving it permission to be able to download the essential stuff from the store. And the essential stuff meaning the most of the game. So your PlayStation disc does not actually hold the game itself. You know?
Yeah.
So that's why even when you
Isn't that on a case by case basis though? Like some games do have the in the disc though.
I'm pretty sure they no longer do that anymore because of so many
What
different
about
problems.
well, I don't. But what about fucking The Last of Us? The Last of Us, they had all that memory discs.
Did The Last of Us have stuff on disc? Wait.
Yeah,
is
I
the
had
la-
to put both discs in and wait, just like I did with fucking Metal Gear Solid 4 all those years ago.
Yeah, but Metal Gear Solid 4 was a very different thing. Okay.
No, I know, but I still had to put it in
Oh
and
yeah.
wait.
Yeah, it is certain games. It does say yes, The Last of Us Part 2 is available on disc. The original PS4 version comes with
That's
two
what I
discs. A data disc and a play disc. Which also GTA, by the way, did this also. GTA 5 did this. GTA 5 did this for the Xbox 360 because it was so enormous at the time. I think it was like 3 discs, if I can remember. GTA 5 discs 360. Oh, it is 2 discs. Oh yeah. So back, it's not 100% new or not new. It's just what happens. Also, I think you muted yourself.
What, I did?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So yeah, it did happen before. Like it's not nothing new, but because of this, because of all that, what really that means is that listen, I've known you for a very long time. You know that icon you have on PlayStation that it's Krauser from Resident Evil 4?
Yes.
If you don't buy that right now, it's gone forever.
That's crazy.
Right now,
I bought it though.
They've
so
already
I'm
said
good.
it. If you're gonna go back, if you can go back to the PS3 library in any way whatsoever, or the Vita library, where all the avatars originated from and where they actually come from, where you have to
Yeah,
buy them,
yeah, because that avatar was only
on PS3.
I got yeah.
So those are ones that you purchased. Mind you, I have a lot. I have like about over 100 based on like
Are they gonna take that shit away from me or
they
if you
did.
bought
No,
it, you're
they
good?
did. No, well, I should say if you don't own that right now, when they shut down the PlayStation 3 store, you actually won't be able to buy it.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, because I had
listen.
a bunch of Metal Gear. You had Metal Gear Solid.
Yep, I have all this. I have all the Snake Eater ones.
Yeah, I got a good chunk of those too, man.
Yeah, I have all the Snake Eater ones. I have all the Street Fighter 2, all the Street Fighter Super, the Gem Fighter ones. I have a lot of avatars for a very, very long time. Valkyria Chronicles. I have a lot. So it just tells you that you really, video games are in a really dark place right now where this
This
is
is
happening.
really dark, man. Like I'm worried, and also I'm like, yo, the same. Technically, like Amazon can't Amazon technically do that too, and Apple if they
Yeah, well,
wanted to.
if they wanted to, they definitely can. They can, but the difference between Amazon and Apple is that those are more monopolies on distribution. You kind of have to go through them all together in order to just be able to put it out at all. It's not like
Okay.
it's not like here where there's multiple options. Apple for Apple themselves, Apple is such a like a long-standing thing that they
Yeah.
just have to deal with this. But for Amazon, Amazon Web Services, which is called AWS, which basically runs a huge portion of the internet, like websites, streaming stuff, it runs on AWS. It's pretty huge. They can't really say you can't take it down from Amazon. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, but this like I know that the gaming has nothing to do with streaming media, but like bro, this all happening made me go like, yo, damn.
And
I
no,
kind
it
of like I've always collected Blu-ray films
yeah.
and then 4K Blu-rays. I even double dipped. I got some 4K Blu-rays of Blu-rays I got. And then I always see these deals and I was like, nah, I gotta slow down. I don't have the space. Like I always see these buy three for $30 deals like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like in hindsight, seeing this happen, damn, I should have given into that urge. Cause like now in my head, I'm having that fear, like this same thing could happen to films as well. And it's like, nah, bro, I want to be able to see all the movies I want. And I know I'm going into, damn, what's it called? A conspiracy now. But like, I'm like, what if in the future, 10, 20 years from now, they try to limit what you can watch and what's in the content you watch, and you can't see things you would normally see in films 20, 30 years ago. Like fucking, I don't know if you ever seen the movie Equilibrium.
Equilibrium. No, I don't think I have seen Equilibrium.
Okay, well that's a film with Christian Bale. It's got a lot of like Matrix vibes to it, but
Oh
basically
yeah, I
it's
remember
like in a
this.
it's in a dystopian future where like you have these like really strong gun wielding agents, and they basically like society is very controlled, the way you
Oh,
um
I see.
behave, the way you act, and like a lot of art has been you know, banned. You can't like, you know, enjoy anything basically. So like I don't know. I was just thinking about that
Mhm.
movie like yo, and then it's like in that world like the they'll enjoy it. The people who had the stuff physically, like you know, like and had it in their backyards or closets, hidden somewhere from like the government and stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's still there. You know, it's so funny that you think about for Christian Bale, and I think about Christopher Nolan or whatever, in that sense. But this is a This had always been like a constant fear for years of like not being able to play, watch the content, or deciding that a tech company decides or big conglomerates decide whether or not you get to enjoy something that you like to. I mean, I understand you pulled out Equilibrium, but you could just go back another 20 years and watch Demolition Man or
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
with Stallone and Wesley Snipes. It's the same shit. It's literally they you can't even in that movie you can't even curse without getting ticketed. It's the same vein of fear when it comes to that. And for gaming, it's complicated because there should be some level of restriction in which you should be able to buy whatever you want and play it whenever you want. You should own it, be able to own it fully. But the problem I can only see with that is they also don't want it's not a problem. I feel like if you are a company like Nintendo, like Sony, there is no reason why you shouldn't be making a 64. You understand? Like
Yeah.
you're the company that made the thing, and parts have gotten cheaper, a lot cheaper, and people build it themselves now because it's so cheap. You
Yeah.
should be able to, as a company, still be able to say like, hey, we understand, right? Things are tough, or we want to keep moving forward, and this and that, and we don't want to offer backwards compatibility for the PS from the PS5 to the previous generations. Should you really stop building PS2s? Was there any reasons to stop
No.
making manufacturing the older tech when they're so cheap to make that it makes it accessible for people to go actually play that? Like in other words, I should not have to like this makes scalping even worse, right? Bro, I have a copy
Yeah.
I have a copy of PT on my PS4, right? And
Yeah.
like legally, I'm not allowed to sell that PS4. If I sell that PS4 on eBay and mention that it has PT on it, it gets taken down and I could get sued.
Damn. You have to sell it privately.
Yeah, of course, but that also means it's because you're also selling your account, which is also not yours. Your account is not also yours, you know. So there's so many weird restrictions that like it's understandable because it's not really yours and you are purchasing things, licenses and stuff like that. But if that's true, then you should be able to do the opposite. They should be able to give us the physical stuff and be like, okay, online that's not yours, right? Obviously, you're signing up for this, but if you want this physically just for you, here you go. And that also ties into emulation. That ties into why people pirate games is because you should be able to just have these games if you want to. You purchased it with your own money, and you should be able to play it and enjoy it when you want. There should be no reason that I have fucking what Street Fighter 6 up there physically and I can't play the game. There should be no reason. But if they're gonna make it so there's no reason, I can't. That means that Street Fighter 6 from here on out is locked to my PS5 physically.
Insane.
It's crazy.
Another thing I was gonna say too, my internet went down the other, right?
Mhm.
And I'm game sharing with a friend or whatever. So I got on, and then of course I couldn't play my games. And then I'm like, that's another thing that has me worried. Like, yo, when shit hits the fan and the PS5 is down, you know, I don't know when the PS8 is out or whatever.
Yeah.
You have to turn the game share off because then you can't play all the games you own technically if the store is down, right?
No.
Like, I wonder how that works.
I'm thinking about the infamous Sony shutdown during the PS3 when the hackers got into it and basically you couldn't play PlayStation online for basically I think it was like 4 months.
I remember that. Why
You-
did they do that?
You could
I
you,
remember that.
you could still play games. It was just there was no PlayStation Store. And so it doesn't really tie.
But I'm saying you
Mhm.
can't, like, if you don't have if you don't have games downloaded, like, you can't download them again if the store's down to get in there to download it, right?
Yeah. There,
Like, basically the safety measure would be to have multiple external memories where you have all the games in, right? I
Yeah.
would think as a safety measure.
yeah, and they allow that. That's the other thing. They do try to allow that because you can hook up a hard disk, an external hard drive to even
Yeah.
your PS5 now and be like, you want to load up all your PS4 games, go ahead, but you can't do it for PS5s because it doesn't work that way, which I understand. No, actually, you can do it for PS5s now. It was just took some time because they have people manufacturers hadn't made external SSD drives just yet.
Yeah.
So to some extent, it's almost like they're allowing you to be able to do so, but at the same time, is it even really yours in that sense? It gets very muddy. It gets very gray.
But would you say it's
on
a
ownership.
safe thing for people concerned about this to have? I mean, that's expensive to have external hard drives, but would you say it's a safe if you want to preserve your games and be able to play it, I don't know, 30 years from now, it would be smart to have external hard drives with all the games you own installed?
I don't think that in the future that's gonna work. I think the only way that this actually works down the line are people who do a really good job online doing emulation. So basically, do you know what a decompiler and recompilers are?
You know, I don't know what
Okay.
the fuck that shit is, bro.
So basically, people have got into the guts of a lot of video games and they decompile, which is like to take apart, or recompile from scratch.
This
Uh,
is what the PC gamers do, and this is why GTA doesn't.
a lot of people, I wouldn't say, yeah, the people on PC. Well, I mean, you have to do it on PC, but like this is people do this a lot, and the way that they make it work is that they find a way to. One of the most famous ones this year, which you can find on my YouTube channel, is they decompiled or recompiled Twilight Princess. So the way that it works is that they make it so that you can play the game itself with better graphics. You know, you want to add texture packs, you want to make it load fast, you want to give all the developer tools, you want to do all the extra stuff, and you don't have to go through the avenue of downloading an emulator. You know, it makes it
Yeah.
native to the actual PC. So when people are doing that more and more and getting better and better at it, that tends to feel more like, yeah, we have a better control of these things. It just sucks. It just seems like in order for you to be in the future, in order for you to be able to play the games that you own that you want to play, you're gonna have to go through like many different avenues now in order to do so. Bro, I can't even
Like, is
buy.
Nintendo the only is Nintendo any safer than PlayStation in terms of like the future? Like, am I 30 years from now still gonna be able to play my Switch? Like, I know I will still be able to play my Switch 1 games. I know that for
Mhm.
sure. But is that the same case for the Switch 2? Because I remember originally when their Switch 2s, they had to connect it to online to even be able to play it.
Yeah,
You
that
know, and
also get.
I know
Mhm.
that Nintendo is notorious for breaking people's switches and blocking them, and they can do that. And remember that weird thing when the Switch 2 came out where they said they own too?
Oh yeah, they did say that. I think Nintendo has less of a problem with this because although they tend to be of all the companies, they tend to be the most conservative and the most proprietary with their tech. I mean, Switch 1 and 2 are cartridge games. They're not even discs. The GameCube wasn't even a real disc. It was a mini
No,
disc that they created for that, you know?
I remember.
Um the Wii U's were DVDs, but like they were like, well, we have to. They had no alternative at the time in which they could make work. So they decided, well, let's go back old school, let's do cartridges. I think the way that they have shown so the vision is different. The vision is different at Nintendo than it is for Sony. Not that they're good at game preservation, they're also just as they are in a lot of different ways worse than Sony when it comes to it because they could just print more. It's all the same shit. They could just print more. They could just make more Game Boys. They could just put out more Game Boys for you to buy.
Yeah.
But they don't do that. They don't want to. They don't want to do that because they also don't see it as. I feel like these companies, all three of these companies, don't view video games in the way that we view video games. To them, it's a product that should be enjoyed in the moment and should be left in the dust.
Yeah.
It's always kind of been that way. The ways of the backwards compatible was very. It also does feel very old school at this time, because they've all tried to move away from it at one point on or another. Like it's been so long that when you think about stuff being backwards compatible, it's very small in the amount of years that it actually happened in the context of the years afterwards. Like if you think about a DS game made it all the way to the 3DS, but that's just one generation. If you can't do Nintendo to Super Nintendo, you can't do Super
No.
Nintendo to
I mean,
64.
Game Boy to Game Boy
Game, yeah, but
Color.
look how
And then
far that went.
technically am I crazy or did the Game Boy Advance allow you to I think it did allow you to pop in Game Boy things, right?
So
Didn't it?
yeah, it went from Game Boy the DS and look you have to think about also the old school DS, the first iteration of the DS allowed you to play Game Boy Color, Game Boy, and Game Boy Advance games.
Yeah, I remember
Right?
that shit.
Right, and they allowed you to do that because realistically there was a bigger plan there. The bigger plan was not to allow you to play those games because they're like, oh, we like that you have backwards compatibility. Is that they knew Pokemon was going to be the driving force, right, of
Yeah,
the mobile
and they want
gaming.
you to be able to keep, yeah.
They want you to have that, and
Because
also
their fucking link cable on the Game Boy
Yeah, there was a link cable on the Game Boy, but then that's the first generation of the DS. Then they really released the DSi. The DSi, the first DSi, right, did have a Game Boy Advance slot on the bottom. The second iterations and further on, the DS Lite and on, they got rid of it altogether. They no longer could play Game Boy Advance games. That's why when you needed a transfer of Pokemon from Ruby and Sapphire all the way to the newest generation, you need you need to have between 1 to 3 of these exact Game Boys. I mean, these exact DSs. So it's not, and the same thing happens with Sony. Sony only had the PS1 to PS2, PS3. They had a PS, and for them to be able to play PS2 games on the PS3, they had an entire PS2 physically inside the PS3. That's the only way it worked. It was an actual motherboard of the actual PS2 inside the PS3, and it was costing them too much money to do that at the time, and they
Yeah,
scrapped
then they got
it.
rid of it.
Look
I
what
still remember the yo, my friend,
yeah.
childhood friend John, fucking I think he managed to get the fucking what did he get? He got the Metal Gear Solid special at that console.
Oh, the Kojima one?
You know
Yeah.
which one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Shout out Video Games
I
New
can
York.
only-
They have it still.
Oh my god, can you look up how much that is right now while we're talking?
Oh, let me see.
It's probably a
Metal Gear
ridiculous
Solid
price.
4 PS3 edition. Let's see. Somebody's selling it online for $336 right now, but I don't think that's the. Oh, but these are the Japanese ones. These aren't even the English version.
Oh no, I'm talking about the English one.
Yeah, someone's selling it right now for $444. Also, you also have to think about it. The difference is that we just got announced that Metal Gear Solid 4 is finally coming to modern consoles, so that tends to skew the price lower now.
Oh, you're right. You're so right. That was probably like before that announcement. It was probably like $1,000.
Yeah, yeah, it was probably you probably used to be way more expensive, but now that we're getting the Master Collection, is not the case.
But the thing is that with that, with that console, you could play PS1 games too, right? You
Yeah,
could play
yeah, yeah.
PS1, PS2, and PS3 games.
Yeah, yeah. It was to this day, that's the best retro console to exist because of how far into the generations you can actually play. And if you modded that PS3 to play, for you to add emulators of the other consoles, then you could play anything natively with good resolution on a TV just like this old CRT TV, because the PS3 had component and composite cables. You know, it came with component and composite cables. So it tells you a lot. I think it muted again. I don't know what happened.
No, I didn't mute, bro. I gotta go soon.
All right. Well.
Yeah. How long was this?
It's
like
about
40 minutes.
38 minutes.
Okay, we got more than 30, so we're good.
Yeah.
We definitely will have more conversations. This was crazy enough that we had to talk about it because, like, bro, we are suffering, bro. We are suffering.
We are suffering, and we are Venom. But that is also true. So that this has been a nice talk for anybody who wanted to know why is it happening, what's going on, how is this going to ruin video games. It was nice for you to listen to us banter about it. Once again, this is Jesse the Sorrow. You can follow me on everything. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to everything. Follow Zendash's music on Apple Music and everything you can get your music. And also, don't forget to subscribe and check out Vicious Law on YouTube. Again, he plays video games. He plays all the new video games.
And in the fall, when I get my computer and all that stuff set up, like a new computer, I'll be able to. I just do PS5 Pro games right now, but once I get an upgraded computer, I'll be bringing Switch stuff. Because best believe, in this hard time, we are getting more Switch games than anywhere else.
Yeah, and tune into the channels just in case like more of these crazy news pop up, and maybe he'll keep popping in here and there for another 30-45 minute talk of what some crazy video game news. Who knows? We don't know yet. This is just so far. This is just so big. This is just so big. But all right, thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Peace.